Digital supply chain network for the intelligent enterprise. It is my pleasure to introduce Richard Howells from SAP Digital Supply Chain. Richard brings over 25 years of experience in business and technology, helping enterprises implement software and business solutions in areas of ERP, supply chain, IoT, and manufacturing. At SAP, Richard drives market direction and strategy for extended supply chain solutions and is a spokesperson for the Digital Supply Chain Group. Please welcome Richard.
Hello, my name's Richard Howells. I'm the VP of Thought Leadership and Awareness for our Digital Supply Chain Solutions at SAP, where I focus on identifying business challenges and trends and where our supply chain solutions should go moving forward. And I wanted to cover a few things. The topic of this session is all about resiliency and driving resilient and sustainable supply chains. And I think over the last 6 months, we've had every disruption possible in the supply chain. We're used to supply chain disruptions, but this year in particular has really raised the bar as far as challenges is concerned, and also raised the importance of supply chains within the business context and within companies. We're now seeing supply chains as boardroom discussions, and supply chains have a seat at the table. And it's the whole COVID pandemic has really shone a light on some of the challenges that we face in supply chains, and also some supply chain success stories. I mean, we all started with uncertain supply as the borders shut down in China and manufacturing facilities closed. We saw volatile demand, and everyone was looking to buy the same 20 or 30 products in the stores, which ended up in shortages for commodity items. And the sales of luxury items pretty much dropped off the cliff. We saw capacity constraints, both in manufacturing facilities due to closures and also to restrictions as far as environmental health and safety concerns were, and in logistics and the logistics process and the availability of transportation, and whether it was physically possible to drive from one location to another or move goods from one location to another. And the whole risk of the supply chain around employee safety and security became a major imperative. But we saw many companies striving to survive and thrive in this environment, and took a lot, and it was the supply chains of these companies that really helped them. We all see stories around the shortages of toilet paper, for example. And we work with several paper and hygiene product manufacturers who look to reduce the number of products that they were bringing to market in this last 6 months, and relied on their supply chain to identify the correct demand for those products and which packaging variations they should be bringing to markets. We dealt with high-tech manufacturers whose demand increased because people were working from home and schools were at home and the need for computers and technologies rose. But their challenge was all around not necessarily not having the inventory, but having the transportation to move the inventory from one place to another. Pharmaceutical companies that were closing sites, reopening sites, and needing the ability to simulate their planning scenarios and do what-if analysis every day of how the demand was changing. And then there were food companies who may have traditionally been selling to hotels and universities and other educational facilities. And they saw their demand drop completely as these facilities closed down, and they had to change their packaging mix. They sold the same volume of bulk product, but in different packaging varieties and to different target markets through the retail stores and online sales to consumers. And all of these drove supply chain change and really highlighted the importance and the need for a resilient supply chain. And we broke this down into 3 real-time buckets. We wanted to have the ability to respond in the short term, in the first 3 months, and have the agility and speed to respond. We turned the second phase the recovery phase, and we're still in that phase, and we will be for a good while onwards, but it really is being in a position to respond to customers' demands and prepare for growth. And ultimately, we want to be able to reimagine these supply chains for sustainable growth and leverage predictive capabilities, automation and innovation to drive profitability. And what we're seeing let's skip through the respond phase, where we all know stories about how companies collaborated with each other. They manufactured different products that they hadn't historically produced, making hand sanitizer versus alcohol, or the protective equipment and ventilators from other industries, and talk about the recover phase. And what we talk about when we talk about supply chain is the concepts from design to operate. How we design new products, how we manufacture them and deliver them, and how they operate in the field. Depending on the industry, there's an after-sales service market where you have to manage and maintain those pieces of equipment or those products at the customer sites. And all of this works across a network. And we need to make sure that the whole design to operate process is ready for the recovery and the reimagine phase. We need to be able to design products anywhere and manufacture them anywhere. We need to make sure that we have alternate sourcing strategies for purchasing the raw materials and intermediates, and making sure that we're not stuck in a single source strategy, which caused many problems in the supply chains in the early phase of the pandemic. When it comes to planning, we need to do the ability to plan more rapidly. Long are the days gone of the S&OP process that's a month or 3-month process. We're talking about weekly planning cycles, if not daily planning cycles in the heat of the pandemic. Having the ability to do what-if analysis and scenarios and simulations to make better informed decisions. Determining where to best position inventory across the supply chain, to balance, to drive inventory optimization processes and position the right products at the right place for the right demand or for the actual demand. And when it comes to delivery processes and logistics processes, having the ability to optimize, to plan and optimize route scheduling, and leveraging social distancing within manufacturing facilities and warehouses to make sure that we can get the products to the customer. And talking about manufacturing and logistics, again, it's all about the safety of the employees. Having processes and tools in place to enable social distancing, but still be productive. And that means optimizing the capacity that is available and making sure that the equipment is running when you need it and where you need it. And having agile manufacturing processes to respond to change and have the adaptability and flexibility to react to changing demand with shorter production runs. We're moving from continuous production lines to really responsive manufacturing cells where we can switch things in and out of a production run based on the demand that's happening on that day. We don't have a frozen 2-week period. And ultimately, we do everything with a network. We rely on the network of partners, of suppliers, of contract manufacturers, of logistics service providers. And bringing all of that information together from all of these members of the network to drive better decisions, to improve collaboration, and really have the flexibility then to respond to change across the business network. And the final thing I wanted to talk about is the whole concept of reimagining supply chains moving forward. As I said right at the start, supply chains and supply chain executives now have a seat at the table. Supply chains are front and center and top of mind. And supply chains can help all across a business. We start by centering our processes around our customers and delivering that perfect order and delivering what they require and desire. But we also have to think about the employees in the supply chain, how they can work more productively, how they can leverage technologies and automation and concepts such as Industry 4.0 to improve productivity in the workplace, to give them the tools and the data to make better and informed decisions and to improve their own productivity. We have to think about the shareholders. The whole concept of this panel is around sustainable growth. And we want to grow sustainably, and we want to grow profitably. And driving supply chain processes and capturing all the information from the supply chain to give you the right information to make those decisions, and even leverage predictive technologies to make decisions and automate the decisions, really does add value and makes the company more successful, more profitable. And always top of mind is sustainability. You want sustainable growth from a financial standpoint, but you want to also be a sustainable company. I, as a consumer, like many others, want to buy goods from companies that are sustainable. They design and manufacture and deliver ethically sourced products with low carbon emissions. They make sure that these products are recyclable and have a closed loop all the way from design to decommission of that product. So sustainability is a major driving factor of many businesses today. And supply chains are one of the areas where we can improve and meet our sustainability goals moving forward. So really what we've talked about is having a supply chain that is both resilient and sustainable. Resilient to change, resilient to disruption, but also resilient to take advantage of opportunities when they arrive, and at all times acting sustainably. So that's really what I wanted to share in this short discussion. So thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed the rest of the event.